Welcome to the Pyramyd Insider, my friends. My name's Tyler Patner, and we have the FX King in 35 caliber today on the table. Let's dive in. Now, the FX King is fairly new. It has kind of replaced the Crown in a way, and King being a fitting name for that. But basically, the more traditional stocked version of a dynamic block rifle, which is the breech block system that FX has employed on like the Panthera, the Dynamic series, obviously by name, and the King as well. A couple other models in there. But the over-the-barrel plenum design in use, you've got a lot of cool stuff going on here. We are going to go over some of the core details here, showing you in a spinny because it's a lot to talk about, and I don't want to take up all of your guys' time today. So Brian, cue the beautiful bean footage, my friend. All right, friends, so now that we've covered some of the detailed stuff here about the FX King, I wanted to throw in a few things you guys should know. Number one, FX claims that the kind of over-the-barrel plenum and air cylinder system that we see on the King, dynamic block guns, the DRS, right, helps stiffen the barrel. I have no way to test this, right? Is accuracy good? So far in our pre-testing, it's been very good, what you would expect. So we'll see how that proves out once we get the gun on camera. But they do claim that. What that means for you guys, though, is that this doesn't change calibers as easily as many of the other FX guns do. There's a little bit more detail required. Obviously, you have to degas the gun in order to do that in the first place. So more work involved there, and something you guys should be aware of if you're looking to buy something for the caliber interchangeability feature of it all. The other thing to consider here, the 600 millimeter variant that we have is the superior heavy liner, not the standard superior liner. So again, 600 versus 500 is going to come with a different liner. You guys need to know that up front. So take our testing results with a grain of salt if you're looking at the 500. Performance might be a little different. Another thing to call out here, the amp reg adjustability. You do have to remove the stock to get to it. I know we called it out, and you're probably like, where's the actual adjuster? Well, it's actually under the stock. So it's 3 bolts, not a huge deal. As part of your tuning process, if you're not happy with where the gun comes out of the box, you just know you need to pull the stock off to get to that adjustment. So not a huge deal, and still very easy to adjust. And so far in our example here, the reg has been rock solid, so no issues from me there. The last thing for me, this GRS stock. I've held many GRS stocks over the years, and I like them a lot. They feel amazing. My only problem with the iteration here on the King is like your boy can't reach the trigger, guys. Okay, so it's like down here. I can physically reach it, but it's like I'm barely on it. I don't know if you guys can see that okay, but yeah, it's very tough. So I'll be shooting kind of off to the side like this to get a little bit more meat, the pad of the finger onto that trigger blade. There is some adjustment there, so know that going in, but if you have child-sized hands like your boy, might be a little bit of an issue. Luckily for you, they do have other options in the King format as far as other stock styles, so you know, good to know. But super comfortable, like very ergonomically well designed. And the push button adjustments here, you literally push these buttons in and slide the cheek piece and the buttstock out. incredible. GRS stocks are phenomenal, and I love the way this Nordic Wolf stock looks. But again, small hands, not great. Now we're going to show you how to fill the magazine really quick with ammo. This is a standard side shot magazine, so it operates like all of the other side shot magazines that FX uses. You rotate this tab around into the opening of the faceplate. One thing to note, this is a fairly deeply cut faceplate, so you can fit some pretty big slugs in here. If we have to single load this as we test ammo on the range, I'll let you know. But you take the faceplate off as I did there, you rotate the inner cassette around, and then you want to hold it in place. Where you hold it is not important, but you do need to cover that last hole with your finger, and then you just drop that first pellet in head first, and you're good. It's going to hold itself under spring tension while you load the rest of the slots. Once you get all of the slots loaded, take your faceplate, get her back on there, and rotate the cover. Now we are good to load the mag into the gun. You do that by pulling the side lever all the way back and sliding your magazine in. One thing to note here, you do have to be cognizant of where your scope saddle sits on your rifle. Make sure you get high enough rings to accommodate these slightly beefier magazines. They're gonna sit up a tad higher. So as long as you've got high enough rings and you can play with your positioning a little bit to accommodate that magazine, you're gonna be good to go. Now we're gonna hit the range. Wow. So we ran the FX King through our normal battery of, well, in this case, a lot more slugs than pellets, although I didn't have many of the Nielsen's to try. So we kind of narrowed it down initially in our pre-testing to what seemed to perform best both in pellets and slugs. Bear in mind, because this has the superior heavy liner, I'm thinking you're definitely going to see better results out of the slugs in your mileage. So something to keep in mind for this 600mm version as opposed to the 500mm variant. But JSB 81s, that is a 1-inch group, 5 shots, not great. It's a lot of tearing as well, so I don't exactly know where the pellets went through. But 1 inch is like, again, minute of like hog's head, which is what this gun is going to be used for a lot. Like, this is a legitimate kind of medium game hunting rifle. It's definitely capable with accuracy like that. Zan 112 grain slugs. This is also a 1-inch group. You've got a nice little pattern there. Again, pretty darn accurate, but I feel like it's an FX. It should be better, right? So getting a little bit better, those JSB Hades. I had this one fly on me here, but really tight 4 shots there. This is a 0.9-inch group overall. This is about a 1/2 inch right here. So not bad. Again, actually 2 Hades groups that we shot. This is a 0.85, so slightly tighter for all 5, but again, nice tight clustering, but Holy cow, guys. Zan, 125 grains, 5 shots, a ½ inch. Dude, this is fantastic. Guys, these magazines, the 125s, this big giant pill of a 35 cal, does not fit in the magazine and still cycled. 112 cycled just fine in the mag, so you could still fit quite a few slugs in there, but I did have to single load these 125s. Just thought I should mention to you guys. Let's take these over the chronograph and see how many shots the King's getting, what kind of consistency it's laying down, and more importantly, what kind of power you're getting with this phenomenal accuracy. So taking our 125 grain Zans that shot the best over the chronograph, you are looking at 20 shots on the reg from roughly 250 bar full fill down to 115 bar. Now you'll note that the reg's set to 120, so that's where velocity became unacceptable when we shot past it. You are looking at an average velocity of 710 feet per second, an average foot-pounds rating of 139 FPE, which is fantastic, an extreme spread for those 20 shots of just 15 feet per second, so the reg is doing its thing, and a standard deviation of just 2.15 feet per second. Overall, the numbers look really good. And one thing to note, if you check out the settings that are on the screen there, 120 bar reg and only 3 1/4 roughly on the micro wheel, you've got a lot of room to run to probably bump this up further with the King. So some really great numbers. Obviously, the FX Amp Mark II reg in this thing is doing a great job, and overall things look very good with plenty of power on tap. All right, friends, let's close out the FX King today in the 35 caliber. A couple of points up front I will make. If you are looking to shoot pellets, lighter weight slugs, right, you're gonna wanna go with the 500 millimeter version. It's gonna have the superior standard liner, probably perform better with those and still give you plenty of power. But the 600 millimeter version clearly gravitating towards the heavier stuff, as we showed. Phenomenal accuracy with the 125 grain Zans at 45 yards. It's gonna be a great hunter out much further than that as well. And that's really what this gun's purposed for. But I do have a few gripes. Number one, it is loud. We've seen that before with the over-the-barrel plenum air cylinder systems from FX, and that's okay. They give you the M18 threads on the end to add a moderator. Again, know that it's M18 for the 35 cal, gonna be half 20 for the others. So when you're buying the moderator, know that there is that variance between the 35 and the smaller calibers. Outside of that, the stock just doesn't fit me great. Well, actually, everything back of the grip fits me great, but for some reason that reached the trigger a little long for my child-sized hands. What are you gonna do? The only other thing I didn't really care for was that there is not access to that regulator adjustment without removing the stock. As I said before, it's 4 screws. It's not a huge deal to get that stock off and do your tuning, but again, would be nicer if there was some way to access it without removing this nice piece of laminate wood. The positives are many though, guys. 140-ish foot-pound ballpark, not a crazy amount of shots, but I wouldn't expect it for that power level. You have good magazine capacity. It fits a lot of heavier and longer slugs as well. Not quite to the 125s, but plenty of other stuff. You've got a really nice platform here out of the King, plenty of air on board, and a lot of room to adjust up as well. Overall, I think the King is a great platform. The 35 cal probably wouldn't be my first choice, but it certainly works and is gonna be a great kind of predator gun. Maybe if you tuned it up super hot into some larger kind of whitetail-ish size game. So plenty of possibilities here with the FX King. Obviously the smaller calibers are gonna be great for bench rest, for small game hunting, so many possibilities there. Check them out next time you're on PyramydAir.com. For the Insider, I'm Tyler Patner. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to click that little bell to get notified when we upload our next video. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the things, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.